I want to welcome you to our 14th webinar that we work together with I.N.A.P.S to develop. I.N.A.P.S develops content of the material, and we give them the platform that they're able to take and use as a webinar format so that they can get to you for absolutely no cost. We hope you're going to find this interesting. I particularly like this topic, the workplace bully. I think you're going to find it very, very interesting, and I hope you will enjoy the presentation today. When signing in and out of the webinar website, please be certain to enter a telephone number without an extension for a call back. Very important for us you can do that. Otherwise, you don't take and you're not part of it. Those of you that see the picture in here, you can see that Bella is here in the picture with me. Bella takes a much better picture than I do, so that's why I use this particular picture. And it's great to be a moderator of this panel. It's great to be involved with I.N.A.P.S. Not only am I a friend of the I.N.A.P.S program, but in addition to that, I'm also a board member for the International Association of Peer Supporters. But it's good to be involved. It's good to be part of this wonderful learning opportunity for you. Telephones will be muted through it. I've told you about the chat box. Please make sure that if you're going to take and send a chat, send it to everyone, not just one person. Find everyone at the very top of the screen, the drop-down screen in the chat box. Please use the chat function if you want to communicate with us. We will be recording this, so we want you to be aware that during the Q&A section, you may be recorded. It may be included as part of that recording. Just to let you know that there is recording of this particular webinar going on, and the plan is for I.N.A.P.S to complete these webinars on their website so that people will have access to them. But at this point, I'm going to take and turn it over to Steve, who's going to introduce our illustrious speaker today.
Thank you, Peter. I just want to reference that this particular webinar is related to our Recovery to Practice project. Recovery to Practice is actually the impetus for these webinars, and this webinar is related to our module on strengthening workplace relationships. And as much as we would love to have ideal relationships in the workplace where everyone collaborates and gets along, sometimes that doesn't happen. And today we have Susan Meekoff. Susan has been a friend for quite a long time. Actually, when we were both working as peer specialists at an agency, we met. And she's an amazing artist in addition to being one of the facilitators at the Recovery Academy in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So, Susan, let me turn this over to you and go from there.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's really been a pleasure to being asked to do a webinar, and I hope that not only is the information something that you might need, that you find it enjoyable, and that it will benefit you in your career today and in the future. Hopefully, though, I hope you've never come across a bully, but I do believe they do exist, and that we might have to face them at times. Again, my name is Susan Meekoff. I'm a certified peer support specialist in the state of Michigan. And I want to welcome you to the webinar on the subject of the workplace bully. And the subtitle is Who and You and What to Do Next.
I'm right with you. I'm sorry. I'm addressing a question at the same time. Here we are. Here's your objective.
All right. We're going to look at the objectives first. These are the things that the webinar is going to look at so that you'll have a better understanding of what you'll be learning today. Let's understand who is the workplace bully. We will be looking at defining what is the bully. Understanding also why adults bully just like kids. Adults bully. As we know, you've been in middle school, grade school, maybe you've been bullied relentlessly by kids, maybe you were a bully and you understand that edge and you're no longer in that position. But kids do bully. The reason why I believe is because mistreatment, and they're following through on the social cues they received in their environment. And to some degree, yes, they did work. And now they bring them into their adulthood life, and to some degree they're still working. They're able to control their environments, and unfortunately the control is something that has no boundaries, and it crosses into other people's lives. Understanding and equipping oneself to handle the adult bullying by learning various practical techniques is what we'll be doing today, so that if there is a bully in your life, that you will be having the opportunity to diffuse some of these people you'll be able to strengthen yourself. Some of these may work for you and get the results that you want to stop being bullied. Understand the value of you versus the value of the workplace, and also to remind yourself you are not your job. I know that sometimes we think that we identify ourselves, I'm a peer support specialist. And we are, again, so much more. Yes, we work very hard to have that job, but that is not determine exactly everything about us, as we well know. But we do forget that at times. Sometimes we put so much effort into being a peer support, we forget the other things, and we'll be looking at that. All right, next slide. Defining the adult bully. Let's look at that. An adult bully, an adult who tries to take advantage of another adult being perceived as more vulnerable. In the workplace, it doesn't happen just amongst peer support, but throughout the bureaucratic system. The boss, the director, the team leaders, the case managers, the psych doctors, and even the nurses. Anybody can be a bully in the whole system. A real hierarchy can be created in the workplace with peer support often at the bottom, not being recognized for what they bring to the professionally to the table. And I do find that happens often, is that as peer support, even though we're very, very capable individuals, we often get overlooked and underestimated with our ability and our talent as peer supports, and are often perceived as less valuable, and sometimes get victimized because of because of the company position that we hold. And I wish that wasn't true, but I do find that often we do fight stigma in the workplace as well as many other parts of our lives. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Let's look at the adult bully's goal. Where did it go? I guess we're going to look at the adult bully's method. Well, let's look at the adult bully's goal. Okay? I see things maybe a little out of order, but I want to go over this. The adult bully's goal is to gain control through aggression, hostility, or intimidation by a method of being mean with intent or acting out of fear. So I do feel that adult bullies as well as children bullies are hoping to gain control for a reason. There's usually a goal behind it, and that they're trying to pursue that, whether it's acting out of fear or just because they have not recovered from some of the issues that they may be dealing with. The adult bully's desired end result. Next slide.
Do you want to go over this slide or not?
Adult bullies desire. I'll be there in the next slide.
Okay.
All right. The adult bully's desired end result. All right. Increasing ongoing painful and humiliating feelings. Also, wear the victim to a lower of self-confidence by the bully to diffuse his own incompleteness. Again, we look at how the bully has some emptiness on the inside. There's some incompleteness, some dysfunction, and needs to display that dysfunction to somehow satisfy it by wearing on a victim. So, you know, it's unfortunate that they have not decided to do their own recovery work, because recovery work isn't just for peers or peer support. It really is for everybody, because I do believe that everybody's in recovery for something, and if we don't take care of it, things like this can actually happen. So let's look at the adult bullying methods. Things that happen in the workplace that we know that are not correct. They could be humiliating, embarrassing, and just downright painful. So let's look at the first one, laughing at errors. Nobody likes making an error. It is bothersome. Some of us are perfectionists at heart, and when we make an error, we get terribly embarrassed. And sometimes, or other times, we're able to look at it. But when it gets pointed out and it gets magnified, it can be really embarrassing, and that can be also victimizing because of the way we were treated during that time. A bad report. Having an unfavorable report can be devastating. You know, we all want to have good reports. We're trying our hardest to be the best employees that we were designed to be. We feel that we're in the right position. We were called sometimes to be in the position that we are. But sometimes having a mismatch with management, case manager or whoever's doing your reports, or somebody that just doesn't like you, can fill out an unfavorable report, which can be very devastating and undeserving, especially when it goes on your work file. Abrupt avoidance. You're already having troubles with this person, and the choice to make a halting directional hallway change. And I know you've seen it. You know what it looks like. It's like, oh, there he or she is. I'm going to quick go down this hall. And you know what happened right to you, and it is not addressing the issue that's really at hand. Let's look at looks and snarls. We all know the eyes rolling. We've done it ourselves, and it doesn't make somebody feel very good. The eye rolling, the evil look, that can be that piercing look that somebody is so angry with you, it feels like it's full of hate, and that look goes right through you. Or shaking your head no, just because they're walking by you, and the victim, the bully just sort of goes, "Oh, it's you," and they're shaking their head back and forth. Gossip and rumors. A very intense and sensitive behavior. This can literally be deadly or destroy someone. Nobody likes being gossiped about, and yet gossip flies like fire. It spreads really fast. Most gossip has many variations to it. It starts out maybe a truth, maybe not, and by the time it gets back to you, it's like you cannot believe what actually was said about you. This can be extremely harmful to you, both on the workplace and back at home or in just your daily living, because of just hitting you so traumatically that those type of things are spread around. They affect your emotions, your maybe your spiritual values, your belief systems, and can be very, very harmful. Non-friendly games. Fun and games around work can be nice, but when the games become non-friendly, it's like they start out fun. I think of my own grandchildren, and there's a 6-year age difference between them, and the one is 15, the other one is 8, and it's like, when somebody gets hurt, it's usually the smaller one, the weaker one, and unfortunately, the hurt can become damaging to various areas of their lives. It can be humiliating, hurtful. It makes a spectacle out of the person because it went too far. And it's easy to let things get too far. The person is having more so-called fun at the game, and it has the upper hand. And of course, we know triangles. 3 people that are seem like they're being supportive friends, but when one is not there, the two are talking, and then the other one's there, and then two are talking again, and it keeps going. And every time the one or the other is together with a group, there always seems to be this energy, negative energy of constantly bashing the other people that are not at that moment there. And then cyberbullying, the power and the entitlement of a bully behind the computer, bully typing the words. They feel entitled. They feel like now I can really say what I really wanted to say, and it's really hard to take, because sometimes those words can be extremely, extremely painful and so incorrect. All right, can we have our next slide? All right. Why do they do? So these bullies, and there's a lot of them out there, maybe they want your job or some part of it. Maybe they like what you're doing. It looks like interesting or fun, or just something that they would like to have an invested interest in. Or maybe they're just jealous people. Jealous people are thinking that in their own lives that they don't have enough. When you look at your life and you feel like you don't have enough, then you can become very jealous. And with that jealousy, behavior can be taken too far, where they victimize other people. Maybe they want to see you fail at your job. Maybe that makes them feel good. They're getting something out of it. They're getting a reaction that satisfies them. They bully everyone. Maybe it's just their nature, because of their dysfunction, that they bully everywhere they go, and it's not about you at all. Maybe the anger got started at home many, many years ago, or maybe it just started that morning, and they're already quite often bullied, and they had a fight at home, and they need to take it out on several people at work. To prove the bully, to prove his or herself, because they feel inferior. So we all kind of know that can happen because they're not feeling good about themselves. Because you're emotional, and it gives them satisfaction. Some of us, and I know I'm guilty of this myself, and I don't know if it's guilty, but anyway, I do, wear my emotions quite often on my face. People know how I feel, and I believe it's just the way I'm built emotionally. And so if I don't feel good, my face reads, I don't feel very good. If I'm happy, my face reads happy. And maybe some of you others are in line with that as well, feeling that, when you feel happy, your face shows it. When you're having a hard day, your face kind of shows that, even though you're trying not to, it just shows. But to get an emotion out of you that they desire, like sadness or hurt, it can give them satisfaction. And it's because bullies' fear of being out of control gives them the entitlement to control in any manner the workplace environment. Fear is a major issue, I think, often for people that bully, because being out of control can be very frightening to some people that had a very dysfunctional, traumatic childhood, and to allow things to be somewhat chaotic in their adult life may be very unsettling to them. Because they have a place of power, and because they can. Some people feel entitled just because they have a place of power, and so therefore they do what they do. All right, let's look at the next page, adult bully types. All right, let's look at this. As you look at the picture in the corner, it shows a person at their computer station, and she looks extremely sad. She's had it. I mean, whatever is going on in that picture has really beaten up on her. And you'll find that relentless bullying can really take a toll on somebody and to become aware of being a good bystander for people that are actually dealing with that in your workplace. Because if it's not happening to you, it could be happening to somebody very close to you. And one of the best things that we could do is for someone in that situation is, you know what, I'm there for you. I've got your back. Tell me more about it, so that you can have bystander supporters rather than the bully having bystander supporters on his or her side. So let's look at the adult bully types. Those that have little regard for the workplace consequences. They feel that they have the right to treat the victim poorly. They appear to have high self-esteem, but actually they're over-absorbed in narcissism. So in that line is that they may be hurting you relentlessly or hurting you on a consistent basis, and they can't feel it. It's kind of like when somebody has a broken leg and they're looking at it and says, I just can't feel it, and they're having a rough time even feeling sympathy for someone who may be with a broken leg and on crutches, as an example. So in that realm is that when they're victimizing a peer or someone in the workplace, they feel no empathy for them. The depressed or low self-esteem adult permeates the workplace with negative attitudes, passive-aggressive behaviors, whiny, persuasive statements, triangles, and tattling. We all know of those that have experienced depression that we don't feel very good. And sometimes, and I know I've been conquering myself, is that I can get a little negative. You know, I can be down on myself, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, I'm kind of down on some other people too. It's like it almost comes as a natural to just kind of spew out some negativity. And you know, we got to be careful when that happens because we may be hurting other people, and it's easier when you're depressed to display behaviors that are not as socially acceptable as when we're feeling better. So even ourselves can be guilty sometimes of bullying, and then when we start feeling better, that doesn't take place. Or those others that are expressing are feeling depression. And I think one of the best things we can do in this situation is that we have some understanding and some empathy for someone who is depressed, because as we know, depression is not fun. And to say, you know what, I see you're not feeling that well, and maybe I can help you out. All right, the workplace bully type again. There's a couple more that I want to go through. Next slide. And the adult bully who lacks understanding of the effort of the effect of his spontaneity and random impulsive behavior. This could be the workplace clown. His or her co-workers may bully back in harmless, so-called harmless, retaliation. I remember, like, when we were in grade school, and I'm in my 50s now, that kids can do this really well. And I remember when it was acceptable, believe it or not, to put the tack on somebody's seat in their in school. Now there's absolutely no toleration for any type of bullying like that. And then not only was the bully who put the tax on somebody's desk, and that person accidentally sat on it and was very surprised and hurt, and not only did he laugh, but everybody around him laughed as well. And so then it was kind of went back and forth between, well, if you're going to do this, then I'm going to sneak up and do that. And it really got out of control. And so taking that type of manner into the workplace can still happen. And like schools, I feel that there should be very low or no tolerance for bullying, and understanding more of what bullying is will help us deter that from the workplace. And of course, there's always the oops. The adult mistakenly wronged the other adult by being offensive. This person explains and apologizes. The workplace quickly returns to a safe environment. And like I said, we all have been guilty, or many of us have been guilty of accidentally doing the wrong thing, hurt someone else, It's like, oh, I didn't know, I'm sorry, and let's move on with life. All right? All right. Now we're going to get into some plans, because we now understand what is the bully. So what are we going to do to get out of this situation, to understand the situation, and to maybe even avoid the attack? All right? Predictability theory. This is something that I had thought through that kind of came to me as kind of a light bulb. There is no real predictability theory, or you could say it's my theory, and hopefully this will be something that can work for you. What I found is, based on overcoming the fear of the bully, I needed to know what the bully's boiling point was through continual observation of him or her. And what I found out when I learned what the boiling point is, how far that person would actually go in the midst of anger. So the bully's consistent behavior gives the victim insight to the predictability of how angry does the bully get in conflict. And when it ends up being a pattern to it, the continual consistency may be only verbal anger. Yes, nobody likes verbal anger, but what I found is that I may not like what the bully said, but because of his predictability, I don't have to fear him anymore. And I found that to be very freeing in my own life, to understand, where does this person always stop? And when I knew that they never went on beyond a certain point of their anger, I had the upper hand, and that really helped me a lot, because I didn't have to fear them. Yelling, I don't like it, but I know where they're going to go, and that was the end of it. They just want to throw out their anger and be done. So with personal assessment, another thing that I found out is that sometimes we're being bullied, and they're upset with us, and maybe we need to look a little bit at ourselves. Am I doing something in any area of my life that the bully identifies as weak or incomplete? And therefore, if I correct this behavior, I can build up my self-esteem. Doesn't mean that we have to accept the anger and the yelling or the behaviors of the person, but it does give us opportunity to look at say, you know what? He's halfway right. I don't deserve what he's doing to me, but I do need to make some changes in my life. And therefore, how am I going to tackle that? What am I going to do? So it gives us definitely opportunity to grow. What do I have to lose? You know, sometimes we fear sticking up for ourselves because we think we're going to maybe lose a friendship that the bully is a friend, or the bully is a boss. And sometimes when we look at, we can no longer maintain relationships with people who treat us unacceptably, the more it erodes our self-confidence. So when we look at relationships that are not working for us, and we're always being treated poorly, it's really hard to keep your self-esteem and your self-confidence on the level that you had when you first entered the relationship. So that should be information to you. Do I want to keep this relationship? Or maybe I want to walk away from it. And then again, confronting the bully, I can look at confrontation, doing it with I statements, doing it with peace. I can maybe reach a goal. We can reach a goal together. So what is it that is the reasoning behind why you were spending time bullying me? If it is about me. So getting to that point in a calm moment to talk about it can really help you win the situation. I had an incident in my own household, which, of course, is not the workplace, but my daughter was very angry with me for several months, and it seemed like everything that was coming out of her mouth was very unacceptable and very harming. And then one day she said, you know what? I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about this because you seem peaceful and so do I. And I did not expect that behavior. to be so soft and so mild-mannered, but I took advantage of it, and we were able to reach goals together. And when I think of that in the workplace, is that if we're willing to say, you know what, you got a moment of time, let's talk about this. What you did the other day, I kind of struggled with. Doesn't mean that you have to say you're a bad person or I didn't like it. Just being very mild-mannered at some of the behaviors can help somebody come to your side and say, you know what, I'm going to rethink what I did to you the other day, and maybe we can reach that goal together. Okay? So let's look at the next slide. Oops. All right. Let's look at transitional words of redirection. Again, I talked a little bit about that with my own daughter, and I found that taking the opportunities when two people are peaceful to look at what is actually going on here. Also, I found that when people are speaking poorly about you in front of you, I can have an opportunity to say, inside your head you're thinking, I'm going to ignore what they just said, and say, that report that you did the other day, I really enjoyed the way you put that together. Or I really enjoy the outfit that you're wearing today. And you better feel sincere about it, because they will pick up on it. But if you can give them a compliment, ignore the poor behavior, and reward good behavior, just like your own children or grandchildren, it still works. And so give that a try and find out if that is something that would diffuse the conflict between you and the bully. Again, some of these things are not going to work because of the different personality types of the bully. Some will work, some won't. So sometimes we got to look at our own self-care and what exactly does that look like. And we need courage to look at our self-care. Sometimes we ignore it. Sometimes we're the last to even look at it and find out that, I'm not taking care of myself. I got this peer support position, and I forgot to peer support myself. And so taking a step back and saying, I need to have the courage to look at what am I doing and how is this working with my life. So number one, believe in yourself. You're a peer support. Obviously, you're a peer support because you have some inner strength. You have some resiliency in you to be able to survive some really tough times. But living with them on a daily basis, like maybe you did in the past, maybe not the right and best answer for yourself. So let's look at your life versus the job. Again, I want to remind you that you are not your job. Your life is more valuable than any job you could ever have. I want to say that again. Your life is more valuable than any job you could ever have. You may really think you got an awesome job, but your life is more important. And you can survive without that peer support specialist job. And momentarily take a step back and look at, maybe where I'm at is not working anymore. I'm not saying this is always the answer, but sometimes it could be the answer. Because if your life is so threatened, your life is more important than your job. I hope I made that definitely clear, because I know that sometimes being miserable in a job, when there's the activities that I like, but the people I'm having a real struggle getting along with, one may have to decide that I'm going to be very creative, because we are creative as peer supports, to look at other alternatives. Let's look at the last slide of my presentation here. It's called the Plenty of Fish concept. And I believe Plenty of Fish is a dating service across the entire nation. And I'm not telling you to go out and date because you're having a rough time being victimized at work. I'm not saying that at all. But what I did learn from Plenty of Fish is that there's plenty of fish. What do I mean by that? That I do not have to get solely into one job and think that is the one and only. I realized that from Plenty of Fish, that there's plenty of fish to like. And I also found out that in that concept of transferring it over to the work situation, there's plenty of jobs that I really could enjoy. Yes, there are times that when we leave one fish and we go to the next, there's grieving and sadness. But there also can be the opportunity to learn something new and something valuable about yourself and your environment. You may bring new stuff to the table that you would really enjoy. So leaving the situation or jobs, if they can't change, you can. And to also believe that there's no lack of alternatives. You are a very bright person. I find you intelligent. I find you resilient. And that's why you are a good sport. And that we don't have to believe in lack. You know, that this is the only job that I'll ever like, and after this, there'll be no more. That is untrue. Because not only if there's no postings for peer support, then be creative enough to do something that you always wanted to do. And that can be a very great opportunity to offer something to the peer support arena that nobody else is doing. So you could be on the verge of something really great. And I would love something to hear about, if you are in that position, about what that great opportunity and that dream that actually happened for you. So we have to decide, how much do I like my job? How much is this worth it to me? If I find myself at wit's end, I've tried other things that are not working for me, I can be happy retreating myself somewhere else. And I have done that myself, where things did not go well. And I found it very enjoyable and a great opportunity to recreate myself. And also, sometimes leaving in one place, they do find out that you are as valuable as you really are. And some amends could be made in that, so that it's not a broken bridge. So I want to wish you all the best of luck in dealing with the bullies in your life. And I wish I could say that after this, there was no more bullies out there, but that is not true. So I just want to thank you for listening to my webinar, and I am open for questions at this time.
Thank you very much for a very enlightening presentation. What a great job you've done on that. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you.
We can certainly take and entertain any questions in the chat box. Please, when you're using the chat box, use the send to everyone, which is at the very top of the drop down. And let's hear from our audience. Let's hear some questions and let's get some feedback. Okay, that's everyone. I have a supervisor who was bullying me. I changed jobs, and now I love my job. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Deb. Rito. Beg your pardon?
I appreciate that, too. That's really great.
Yeah.
It just re-emphasizes the point is that your job is not the only job you'll ever have and love.
Rita's comment is a good comment. What do you do if you see someone else being bullied?
Support them. Come to their aid. Don't let them be alone. Don't let them think they're being the only one that sees what's going on. They need support from other people, and that is one of the best things to do, is to come and say, you know what, I've got your back. I see what's going on, and if I can help you in any way, please let me know.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask you a question, if I can, Susan.
Yes.
What would you do in a situation where you're being bullied, and you've tried some of the things that you've mentioned, and you tried to regroup? What about taking and speaking to your supervisor? What's your position on that?
Well, I think that'd be very valuable. The reason why I did not go that way in the webinar is because I know that everybody's employment situation is different. But absolutely, if you have a go-to person that's really good in a higher position where you are at, and they're willing to listen and to take heed of what's going on and be able to resolve the situation, absolutely go for it.
Thank you very much for that. How do you support? Oh, how do you support a bully? Rita's asking the question: how do you support a bully?
How do you support a bully?
You don't.
Yeah, like, why would you? Okay, thank you. That was a trick question, I believe.
I think Rita did give us a trick question there. Rita, maybe you should further explain to us what you were asking from us.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I think I do understand what Rita's saying.
No,
that's exactly.
Can you? Oh. What she's saying is, if the bully himself is insecure, can you support that person?
Yes, and I would support them at the time when they're not in the bully mode. I'd say, you know what? I see. It appears to me that you're struggling, and some anger there. And I saw. You may tell them what you saw. You know what exactly took place that the bully had done. And I would also say, you know what, when relating it just like as a peer support to us, maybe a situation in our own life, whether we were bullied or we had bullied, and say, you know, I know how that feels, and I just want you to know that it's tough, and letting them know how you can support them. You know that you get them. You get them. Anything else out there?
How do you support the one being hold on? Well, how do you support the one being bullied and wants to be left alone? Oh, that's a good question, Amy.
That is a good question, and what I would say is first approach them to let them know they are not alone, and understand also that for maybe them to consider is are you going through a period of depression? Usually when somebody wants to be left alone, there may be some depression going on. And just letting them remind and rethink, are you kind of struggling with depression a little bit? You know, and also if that's not being perceived, is just say, you know, I want you to know that I'm there to support you. I understand it looks like you want to be left alone. Do you think that's the safest thing for you to do? So kind of let them rethink their position of what they're doing. They may not be totally open with it. Also, you need to let other people know. It appears that somebody may be suffering from depression and is being really tough on a victim in your workplace, and that really needs to stop. So you need to come to the aid for the victim as well as come to the aid for the bully.
Now we have another question. What options would you recommend when a person is retaliated against for reporting a bully?
Let's see. I'm just looking for that question. Could you run that by me one more time, please?
Or what options would you recommend when a person is retaliated against for reporting a bully?
Kind of depends on where the retaliation is coming, whether it be from the bully or from the maybe HR or whomever that feels that you're overreacting, which sometimes can happen. I would say usually you need to keep going to people that keep running to people that will take the situation seriously, because nobody needs to be bullied in the workplace. And yes, sometimes retaliation because they're not very happy that you reported it. They need to be reminded it's still unacceptable in the workplace to behave in the manner that they are. So I would say if one person's not listening, go to the next.
Very good. Very good. What about the bully that recognizes they are a bully? Wait a minute.
What can they do to help themselves change?
Hold on, let me go back to it again. What about the bully that recognizes they are a bully? What can they do to help themselves change? Yes.
Okay. Yes, I see that question as well. I think it's awesome that they recognize the bully, that they are bullying. That's definitely a beginning point. There are a lot of books out there. One of the first things they can do is start off in the workplace and apologize to people they've bullied, so that they can start creating a peaceful environment of where they are at. Second is that self-help books, and maybe they're seeing a counselor at this time, maybe they're not, maybe it'd be something that they would want to do and discuss, why am I a bully? Why must I do this, or why am I doing this? And then maybe look at some, how long have they been a bully, that they can recognize, so they can see the pattern and consistency of this, and what exactly is the root behind it.
We have a rather long question. You're going to have to bear with me a moment, so because it's going to take me a moment to read the whole question to you. This is from Catherine. I am working in a job, and I have a bullying boss. She is narcissistic and has no insight into her behaviors and derives pleasure out of making me uncomfortable. I have gone to the union, wrote letters to her boss, and filed an EEOC complaint. Still, it continues, and I have been working to improve myself through mindful exercise and therapy. This has helped me clear my mind, become more focused, as well as getting more creative in my job. It has been a struggle. I was depressed, distracted, anxious, tearful, and I am doing much better now. Bullying behavior really interferes with creativity and job performance. Fortunately, I have a lot of social support from all of my coworkers. Without that, it would be extremely difficult to overcome, as I might have believed what the bully gets anger doing.
Well, it sounds like the person has definitely been addressed, and continues to be what they've chosen to behave like. And with that in mind, it sounds like you've went through an awful lot of pain and exercise to deal with this bully. From my understanding of being in that position, maybe at one time, what I felt was, maybe I would like to take my creativity and share it at another place. And that's a personal decision. Everybody's got to decide when enough is enough. Or is this person going to change? Or can I survive and still enjoy? I think it's kind of like a relationship with kind of a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or two people that really like each other, a friendship or such. It's like when the bad weighs out more than the good that's coming out of the relationship, do I really want to continue in this existence?
The other point I'll make to you is that Deb is also confirming what you said and what the other person, another person said. Deb was having the same problem with her supervisors, so she made a decision and changed jobs. I think it's believed from an earlier statement that Deb made, she's very happy that she changed jobs.
Yeah, you did find yourself walking into the best job you ever had, even though you thought you had the best job you ever had. There's no lack, and if you're creative, you can be creative somewhere else, guaranteed.
Well, true. I agree with you. Okay, we have 8 more minutes left. What if someone is being bullied by a group specifically for having a mental health diagnosis? Wow, what a question that one is.
That's sad. That's sad. It's very sad. A group specifically. Wow. Yeah, I think it's
people over their mental health diagnosis, and that does happen.
Yes, you know what? Who in the state can come to their aid? I don't know what state you're calling from, but is there? I know that in the state of Michigan, we have done extensive work in stigma fighting, because it sounds like a stigma issue, and sometimes maybe the group could be informed on what exactly is a mental health diagnosis, and why are you targeting the victim, and maybe reassessing themselves. Also, if this group has a group higher than themselves, then I would bypass the bully group and go to the next step up and say, you know what, I am being bullied by these people, and it is very uncomfortable, and how can you help me? And then also getting witnesses and documenting what exactly is the bullying that's being dished out
Good point. Very good answers. It is from Amy C. When is it okay to turn a bully in?
I would talk to the bully first if it's possible. You don't have to put up with any bullying. I'm not saying it's ever really acceptable. I'm saying if you need to turn a bully in, and it depends on what was done, and also the policies of the workplace that you have, and how you were affected by it. Maybe at the first time you were bullied, it's like, okay, unacceptable, I will be reporting. Other times, it depends on maybe the relationship with the person that you have or had formerly had. It's like, hey, you know what? I didn't like what happened the other day. Could you please kind of put that on hold and not do that to me anymore? So I can't really answer that except for with a variety of ideas.
I think you reach a point. You as an individual reach a point where you say, I'm not going to take this anymore. And at that point, I think you need to take and report what's going on.
Right, I totally agree.
Part of you.
Totally agree. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. We have another comment. I want to say this is to present a lot of trauma in the future. I was victimized in school, and I have carried this insecurity and trauma with me for a lifetime. Years later, I had experienced this once again in the workplace. I utilized some of your suggestions, and they, in fact, employed my supervisor more. I then went to the executive director and showed him with proof. That's what they managed to find an unsubstantiated reason to fire me. Now I have been victimized twice. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very awkward situation that happened. Yeah, I'm very sorry you went through that.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened. I guess the thing is that as awful as it was probably a good thing that you were let go, because nobody needs to take that. And it does hurt to lose a job, but you can recreate. And I know it's not always easy to recreate, but you are a person with strength and a person that has resilience, because you've already dealt with many health issues and many things that have already happened in your life. Build that inner strength and go recreate somewhere else.
And also, I think the point that Vicki was making was she was traumatized in school by bullies, and that trauma impact carried on into her adulthood and was triggered by having this boss so difficult with her.
Yes, and it is something that I also... Yes, go ahead.
I was saying he raises a very good point.
Yes, and I also wanted to remind her is that psychotherapy might be something that she might want to do, is go back to what actually was the root behind why was I bullied? What self-esteem lack may have I had at the time that I was being bullied in grade school?
Okay, and then we have Eric. What if the supervision does nothing to remedy the situation as the bullying behavior increases from a level of mental abuse to a level of physical abuse?
Wow.
Continues to condone this behavior by no action or inaction. I have had to also change jobs. It was so unfortunate, as I enjoyed helping others and peer support through recovery. So Eric apparently went through something similar, but as you said before, if it's that bad a situation, change jobs. There's always another good job you can find out there.
Right.
And take a job until you can find the job that you want that makes you very happy.
Right, I totally agree, because I think we need to believe in the no lack mentality. It's that if the job market doesn't have exactly what I want, then I need to be creative enough to create it, and then sell yourself on that point, whether it be kind of a self-employment type position or within a company. Sell yourself on your creativity. It can go a long ways. You may say, I'm not creative. There's nothing in me creative. Baloney. There is. Being able to work through a mental illness is creative. Use it and work it out.
I have a very interesting comment from Catherine. Document, document, document. And go to the EEOC. For me, the bullying started when I self-disclosed I had a mental illness. In her mind, I disclosed my weakness. If there is an advocacy service for people with disabilities, please contact them. If they can provide, because it can provide direction and assistance to you as well. Very nicely said, Catherine, and I agree with you. Document, document, document.
I totally agree with that too, because the thing is, without that documentation, they can be empty words and not looked at very seriously. But putting documentation is a very wise thing. Also, the thing is, if you're being physically abused, call the police. Ask them for advice. What should I be doing in this situation? Do you want to file a report? I mean, these are things that are unacceptable. And sometimes, if the workplace isn't going to do it, you do have a law system.
We have one last comment, and it has to be our last comment because we're out of time. What are some words of encouragement to individuals getting bullied to stand up to themselves or to others?
You're worth it.
Or for others.
Yep, you're worth it. You know what? You are valuable. You are important. And it doesn't, sometimes we feel that, we're just a peer support amongst all the big individuals with the better letters. No. We are people of value. Always. Always, always, always. And it has nothing to do with who's got letters and who doesn't. It has to do with you being you, and you are here for a reason, and you are in recovery from something very special, that you have something to offer other people on the same journey.
And for those of you that are on the call that want to take and recognize this is part of the work that you do for your CEUs or for your continuing education, here's what you need to do. You contact N.A.P.S.org, take the quiz. Once you take the quiz, they'll take and rate it, and then they'll send you your certificate letting you know that what a great job you've done. Listen, I want to thank you very, very much, Susan. You did a fantastic job of presenting a very difficult subject, and not a subject that we always want to talk about, but one that we need to talk about.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for bringing that forward. Susan, you did a great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today.
Okay, everybody take care. We'll be back in touch with you again when we're having the next webinar. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, great Labor Day weekend. And you're getting plenty of accolades in the chat column right now. People saying what a great job you've done.
Thank you very much, people. I love you.
Hey, everybody take care now and have a good long weekend. Bye, everybody.